Hey everybody, Derek here to bring another video for Fear the Walking Dead Season 2. And what this video is going to be doing is focusing on Strand and trying to figure out whether I think he is a friend or whether he is a foe to the rest of the group. If you are not caught up with Fear the Walking Dead and you do not want to be spoiled in any way, then I would exit the video now and come back later, because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay, so the character of Strand is probably one of the most interesting characters on the show right now. I think that his introduction in the last couple episodes of Season 1 was very entertaining. I think that the actor is amazing. He does a very good job of portraying the character. And part of me wonders where Strand is going to fit in with all of this story. What exactly does he represent, and what does that mean for the group? Well, when we're first introduced to Strand in the first 2 episodes, we see that he is somebody who really seems to know how to read people, that he's able to look at a person and really be able to dissect them, if you will, and know their strengths and know their weaknesses and how to use them to his advantage. And I think that's really just his character in general, and I think that's why he is the way that he is. Now, friend and foe, obviously, the question is will he be a benefit to the group, or is he gonna maybe cause some harm? Because I really don't think that Strand, personally, at this point, has some kind of ulterior motive or some kind of plan that's going to hurt the group specifically. Like, I don't think he has this plan of, well, I'm going to take my yacht here and then I'm going to, stay here and abandon these people here. Or, I don't think that he has that specific plan at this moment. What I think is going on with the character is that his behavior and the way that he is would make me think that maybe, and I think this might be the right term, but that in a sense, I think maybe he's a little bit of a sociopath, and maybe that he is somebody who just does not feel things for people or for, just possessions in general. I think that he really, as a person, does not form as many attachments, and I think that what he's found is that in his past, doing things like that would weaken him. Because one of the things that we notice about Strand is that he's very wealthy, it seems. He had a suit on. It was a very nice suit. He had jewelry, a watch that he gave to that soldier when he was in the compound. And then, of course, he gets off, he gets out of there, he gets to his house. It's a beautiful home, and he has this yacht. And he just seems to have all these possessions. And one has to wonder exactly how he got those possessions. And it really makes me wonder, he talked about how he used to be able to sell anything to anyone. Part of me wonders if maybe he did have legitimate business ties, but maybe illegitimate business ties. Maybe he was involved with some kind of criminal activity, but on the other hand, he also may have worked as a successful businessman. I just think he seems like somebody who would take advantage of any situation to put himself in a better position, and he knows who to bring in order to accomplish his goals and who he has to, roll over or, push out of the way to get there. And that just seems to be the way that his character is that when he looks at people, I think that he's very selective about what he wants and who he wants to be involved with. And one of the things that you see with him in the group is that, I don't think he intended on all of them to be out on the boat with him. Honestly, I think that maybe he did just intend for it to be either himself until he was taken by the army and Nick. I think that those were the only two people that he had any intention of doing anything with. And then all of a sudden, Nick's got a family and friends that are also going to need help. And obviously, he can't cut them loose and still want Nick. He has to take all of them. But, with that comes Strand asserting his dominance over everybody else, saying, hey, listen, this is my boat and it's my rules and you're going to obey them or else. And I think that when he does that, I think that it really is, in a sense, part of him knows in his heart that he could just abandon these people at any time and leave if he wants to. Now, that doesn't mean he wants to. He might actually be maybe somewhat warming up to these people. But I think that really what it comes down to is that in the future, as time goes on, I think this is really going to be a test for Strand and for the group to make themselves work together as a team. And really, the other group members have to convince Strand that they are worth keeping safe and worth being a part of his inner circle, if you will. But at the same time, Strand has to prove himself to them, I think. It's a little bit of a two-way street, and I do see that coming around. And you see throughout the trailer multiple times where, Strand and the group disagree about things. We saw that immediately with Strand saying, no, I'm not pulling the boat over and letting those people on. We don't need that liability, and I'm not willing to do that. And if we pick up anybody, it's going to be up to me, not you guys. And I think that, really, that was just Strand being intelligent in his mind. Because, again, I think he's very intelligent. He's not dumb in any way. I think he just has a very good ability to read people. And I just think that he's used those skills in his life to get to the position that he's in. And that he's very adaptable. It's whatever gets him by the next day or makes him better than he was yesterday. Now, whether he's obsessed with wealth, he's obsessed with power, or just the ability to be one step ahead of everybody else, it might be a combination of all those things. Or maybe at the time, before the zombie apocalypse, that's what it was. I do think that Strand is really somebody who is an opportunist. He will look at any opportunity. And that's not to say he's a bad guy. It's just that that's what he does. And I think he's willing to engage in legitimate as well as illegitimate means of getting ahead. If he feels that it's to his advantage to keep Madison's group with him, then he'll do that if he thinks it's to his advantage. But I think that if there comes a time along the way where the group starts to really hurt his chances of survival, then I think he's going to let them, cut them loose. And I think that's going to be a test for him throughout the season, because I think what we're really going to see is whether these groups, they can really come together and be a cohesive unit and be cooperative with each other. Because I still think that in many respects, Strand does somewhat appreciate the fact that he is in a group of people. I don't think that Strand would really do well on his own. I think that he is very happy to be with other people and not to be alone, but that he has the ability to just cut his losses if it means that he survives. And, you see with Nick, the two of them, I think because of their upbringing and because of their experiences, they, in a sense, are more attuned to what is going on in the world. They've seen very harsh things that the world can produce. I think Strand's definitely seen some terrible things in his life, and I think that obviously Nick has as well. And I think it's really going to be, can they make everybody else see their way? More so Strand. And what is that going to mean for them down the road? And I think it could go either way. I think we could see a situation where the group does start to trust Strand. And you have to look at a couple of things that the man has done. One, he did invite them on the yacht, which does say something about him. You know, if he really did not want to invite them, he could have just said no. He could have said, look, I got a plan. You guys got a plan. You do what you want. Because I think that Strand sees the benefit of being in a group. For him, though, it just has to be the right group. And the other thing that you see is that at the beginning of the episode of episode 1, Monster, when Nick went back out on the Zodiac to get Travis, Chris, and Madison, he stayed. And he did wait for the Zodiac to come back. If Strand didn't really care, I think he would have just, took off. He would have said, okay, hey, we got enough people. Hey, we got, I got what I needed and we're out. And I don't think Daniel Salazar would have been too upset about leaving some of them behind. I think he, in a sense, is also just as cautious like Strand is, just in a different way. And, I think that those are some pluses for Strand. I mean, I do think that he does have the ability to care. It's just that he has to get into a comfortable position. So, again, I really think that what it comes down to is Strand as an individual, whether sociopath, because sociopath doesn't necessarily mean that you're, evil or that you're, going to hurt people. What it generally means is that you don't really necessarily have emotional attachments to things. That's one form of it. Obviously, sociopaths, psychopaths, they go along a spectrum. It's very hard to draw lines as to where somebody would lie. But I think that it's just with Strand's character, he doesn't really have emotional attachments. I think he's learned in the past that they only drag him down. Maybe this Abigail person may have been a big factor in that. And I just think that he just doesn't have these connections, although he's realized that the way that the world has become, he's going to need to make connections, but that he wants to make the right ones. And he's just intelligent. He knows, I think, how to survive. I think he's been in survival situations before, and he has to hope that the other group members understand that and that they'll help him. And if they don't, then I think he will cut them loose. So we'll have to wait and see, but those are my thoughts on Strand at this time. So let me know what you think. Do you think I'm right? Is there something about Strand that I haven't thought about? Don't be afraid to let me know. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you very much for watching.